Okay, so here's the discard, and you want to make sure that the discard is room temperature. It just makes it easier to work with. I kind of stir it up a little bit. If you've had it in your refrigerator kind of sitting for a little bit, sometimes you can see that it separates a little bit, so it's just better to kind of stir it in together. And then sometimes too, if it's sat in the refrigerator for a lengthy amount of time, there's actually kind of like a grayish hue of liquid that forms at the top, and that's okay. If you want to dump some of that out, you can. If you want to stir it in, it's all part of it, just kind of separates sometimes. I stir mine back in. All right, so the first thing that you're gonna do is you're gonna take 2 tablespoons of the discard, and you're gonna put it into your clean mason jar. Just kind of throw that in the bottom there. All right, and then the next step is you're going to grab your all-purpose flour and your wheat flour. So I use just all-purpose flour from Sam's Club. I get a big bag of it. And same with my wheat flour. So for your all-purpose flour, you're going to put in a half a cup. So I just kind of measure it out here, dump it in. And then your wheat flour, you're gonna actually put in a pinch, but it's more than like a 2-finger pinch. I kind of do like a handful pinch. So it kind of looks like that. And then I put it in there. And then you're gonna take your room temperature water. So that part's really important. You don't want to just take it out of the spigot. And so I always keep a mason jar full of my water. And my water, I always make sure it's purified water too. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take 1/4 of a cup of water and dump it in. And then take your spatula and you want to just kind of mix it all in together. And you'll notice that it'll start to get kind of chunky. So just make sure all that flour can kind of stick at the bottom and along the sides. So those little mini spatulas are helpful for this process. I also recommend, this is not one, but I really recommend a wide mouth jar because it's easier to work with when you're doing this step of like trying to like mix it and stuff. Okay, so now you can see it's pretty chunky in there and thick. So what I want to do is just try to get like the stuff off the edges of the jar so I can really see where it where the top of this is at, because you want to wait until it doubles to be able to use it to make any like bread or focaccia or bagels. It has to grow and double in size, and as it grows you'll start to see that, you know, it's bubbling, and you know that that's when it's working. I have noticed that there's a difference in length of time that it takes to actually grow to be able to be used depending on the weather outside and the temperature that's in your house. So optimal temperature is around 70 degrees for it to grow. Okay, so now with my mason jar, I can see that it's just under the 200 line. So there's lots of jars out there that have measuring like things on it, which makes it a little bit easier if you want. But I kind of eyeball it on this jar, and so it's about 175. So once it gets to 350, which is labeled on here, then I know that I can use it. So at this point, I've kind of cleaned the edges so it's as flat as possible. If you also want to, you can put a piece of tape along where like the top of that is, if you think that you'll forget, so that you know when it doubles. But I've been doing it for a while, so I kind of forget that, or don't do that step. So this part, you can actually use a coffee filter and put it over top, and then you have like a canning jar lid, and then you can put it over top like that, and then you can just let it sit. There's also one of my friends does like a shower cap, and she puts that on top. And then there's also another option where there's like a cap. Here's another one of my jars when I make a bigger batch. So you can see that it's measured, or the temperature's there, and then it's measured here. And then this jar in particular has a little like thing that you can put around the jar to actually show exactly where you started it. And then it has a little, it has the date and time if you want to know that as well. But this is kind of like the little cap too, that that you can also use on top of the wide mouth jars, and it just kind of sits on there like that. So there's lots of different options. But anyways, it's just gonna sit, and now it's gonna grow. And it'll probably take about 8 hours for it to double in size. So I'm just gonna kind of let it go. I try to keep it away from any outside walls in the cold weather because it tends to be colder, and therefore it takes a lot longer to grow. So I keep it on the inside of my kitchen. All right.